Welcome to Beginner's Guide. In today's tutorial, we are going to design this image gallery using HTML and CSS. If you can notice one thing, every time when I hover on these images, the size of the image is being increased. So this is what we are going to design in this tutorial. So before we get started, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the channel. And one more important thing, I recommend you to watch this video till the end. Don't skip the video because I'm going to explain you everything line by line. Now let's get started. In my desktop, I have got a folder name called Image Gallery. Within that folder, I have about 5 images. One, I'm going to use them for a background. The rest of the images, I'm going to use them for the image gallery. And then other 2 files, one is index.html, another one is style.css. Now, let me open this folder using my text editor. I'm going to use Visual Studio Text Editor in this case. So this is my text editor. This is the folder. So there is 5 images. One is for the background. The rest of the images that I am going to use them for the image gallery. And this is index.html. This is empty. This is style.css. This is also empty. Now let me create the basic structure of HTML. So this is a basic structure of the HTML. So here in this title, I am going to say image gallery. So this is my style.css. Let me link this style.css into my HTML using the link tag. Now my style.css file is being linked with my index.html. Let me look at the original document, my original design. So this is my original design. So what is there? First, I need to include this heading, CSS image gallery, then followed by I have to include all these images together with this image description. If you can notice one thing, there is a description for each of these images. So let me start creating this one. The first one that I am going to create is this heading, image CSS image gallery. So in order to do that, in my body tag, I am going to create the heading. So after the heading, what is next? There are about 4 images in this actual design, isn't it so? So in order to bring these images into my HTML document, what I am going to do, I am going to create the class name called container. Within this container, I am going to include all those images. Let me include my first image using the img tag. Then the source, I am going to specify the name of the image. The first image that I have them here is image1.jpg. So this is image1.jpg. Let me post this one. Then what is next? Each of these images has got a description, isn't it so? Here the second background image. This is a third background image. So in order to bring this image description, what I'm going to use, here I'm going to use the p tag. So let me use this description. So what is the first image description? First background image. Let me copy and paste them here. Now let me save and run this one with my browser. I'm going to use the Chrome. Here we go. So there is a first image together with the description. But I need another 3 more images. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy and paste them down there 4 times. This is the first image. What is the second image name? Image 2. So I'm just going to rename this one to image 2. Then this one, instead of first background image, let me say second. Let me save and refresh my browser now. So you can see them here. There is 4 images together with the description for that particular image. So what is next? I want them to be displayed in the center of the web page together with this background image. So in order to do that, I'm going to my style.css. So initially I'm going to use the universal selector name called star. I'm going to set the margin equals to 0 so that I can remove some initial margin and padding. So padding, I'm going to remove the padding, initial paddings, and I'm going to set the box sizing to border box. So let me save and refresh. If you can notice, the initial margin and the padding is been removed. So what is next? I need to include the background image. In order to include the background image, I'm going to select the body tag. I'm going to include the background image with the property name called background image. Then I'm going to use the URL. Here I'm going to pass the name of the image. What is the name of the image? back.jpg. Let me save and refresh my browser. Now the background image has been applied, but not exactly the way that you can see them in the actual document. So what is the next property that I am going to use to bring the background image to the center of the page? I'm going to say background image position is going to be center. Then I'm going to say background size is going to be cover. Let me save and refresh. Now as you can see them here, my background image is in the center of this web page. So what is next? I want these images to be displayed in the center of this web page. As you can see them here, all these images, they are there in the center of this image. So in order to bring these images to this center of this web page, what I am going to do, I am going to select this container, because this container is common for all those images. So I am going to select that class name called container. I am going to style that container. What I am going to do, I am going to say margin, top and bottom I want them to be 0, left and right I want them to be auto. Then I want to set the width for that container. So the width of that container, let me say maybe 30%, the width of that particular container. Let me save and refresh. Okay, now as you can see them here, my images are in the center of this web page. So what is next? If you can notice one thing, there is no space between this first image and the second image. In order to bring the space between the first image and the second image, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the property name called margin bottom. Let me set maybe 20 pixel. Let me save and refresh. There is a space between the first image and the second image. Even you can increase the size, maybe let's say instead of 20 you can say even 30. Let me save and refresh, so that you can see the space between the first image and the second image. So what is next? If you can see one thing, the size of the container, the width size is 30%, but the way that you can see them here, the size of this image is more than 30%. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fit these images into that actual container size. So in order to do that, I'm going to select these images with the tag name called image img, because all these images, they all belongs to the tag name called img. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to select that tag name called img. So it is going to select all those images. I want to set the width of all those images into this particular width of the container. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set width is equal to 100%. So what does it mean? This 100% is this 30% of the container. So these images are going to be fit into the width of this particular container. I hope you understood. So that is width. Then what about the height? I'm going to set the height maybe auto. It is going to select automatically. Let me save and refresh, so that you can see the difference. As you can see them here, because this is a 30%, this is a container, the size of the container is 30%. Now I want my images to be fit into that particular container. That's the reason. Before it was big, because the width of the image is too big compared to the container. Now I want the images to be fit into that particular container. That is the reason why I select all those images and set the width is equal to 0, just because it's going to be fit into the width of this container. That one is okay. Then what is next? This CSS image gallery is there in this leftmost side, but it's supposed to be in the center of this page. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select that h1 tag. So maybe here I'm going to select that h1 tag. I want the text to be displayed in the center, so text align, it's gonna be center. Then maybe color of the text, I want them to be red in color. Maybe font style, let me say oblique. Let me save and refresh the browser here. So you can see them here. Now CSS image gallery is in the center of the page together with these images. So what is next? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some shadows to these images. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to my style.css. In the container, I'm going to add some box shadow to 0,15 pixel, maybe 30 pixel. Maybe the next one, I'm going to add the color RGBA 0,0. The next shadow that I want to add be 25 pixel. This one will add the shadows for those image box. So let me save and refresh. As you can see them here, there is a shadow there in these images. So what is next? So this description for these images, this is a background image, this is a fourth background image. Those things has to be in the center of that particular image. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to my index.html. Here in the P, I'm going to create a class name called maybe content. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy and paste this one for all the paragraph. Now let me design that content. Now I'm going to use that class name called content. I want the text to be aligned in the center, so I'm going to use the text align property to center. Let me save and refresh the browser. Now the text is been in the center of the image. Now I want to set some padding. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the padding, maybe padding 2 pixel. Let me save and refresh the browser. Now it looks nice according to the original design, just like this, right? So what is next? Every time when I hover on these images, I want the size of these images to be increased. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this container, because this container is the one which has got all the images. Every time when I hover on that particular image, I want the width, because initially the width is 30%, isn't it so? So when I hover, I want the width sizes to be increased. Maybe from 30%, I want them to be increased to 40%. Let's say I want them to be increased as 40%. Let me save. Even I am going to use this same box shadow method. I'm going to use this same box shadow. Let me save, because what does it mean? Initially the width of the container is 30%, but when I hover on that particular container, the width has to be increased to 40%. Then together with this box shadow. So let me go there and refresh. Now when I hover, the size of the image has to be increased. As you can see them here, the size of the image is being increased. But there is no smooth transition between these images. But if you can see them here, there is a smooth transition every time when I hover on those images. To bring this smooth transition, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the property name called transition in this container. So I'm going to use the property name called transition duration, maybe 2 seconds. Let me say, go to my browser, refresh. When I hover here, now as you can see them here, there is a smooth transition between these images. Now we have managed to design the image gallery using HTML and CSS with this hover effect. I hope you understood this class. For more tutorial videos, don't forget to subscribe the Beginner's Guide.